Now, in the wake of Hurricane Harvey, which slammed into Texas, destroying homes, businesses, and lives, so far right now, there has been 8 people that have that are confirmed dead, and many more injured. A lot of property destruction, a lot of flooding that's still going on. In the wake of all that, there have been a lot of organizations and groups that are now getting together to try to chip in to help out in the aftermath. Okay. Now, that includes charities and even large corporations that have decided to chip in millions of dollars in relief funds. Okay. Now, they include companies like Amazon, Google, Walmart, Aetna, Caterpillar, even ExxonMobil. Okay. So there's the companies that are donating money to actually try to help people out. Now, there are some companies, though, however, that are a little less than altruistic during the storm. In fact, there happen to be many instances of price gouging. Now, according to one of them by the Houston Chronicle, according to the Houston Chronicle, Attorney General Ken Paxton's office had received at least 75 consumer complaints related to Hurricane Harvey from Thursday through Friday afternoon. That includes one convenience store charging $7 a bottle for drinking water. That's amazing. Here we go. Now, John McGovern, who lives near Houston, who's an eyewitness to this, he went to an electronics store in Cyprus to buy a USB phone charger when he saw a 24-pack of Dasani water going for nearly $3,000, or I'm sorry, for nearly $43, not $3,000. Now, McGovern said, nobody that I saw had even touched it, obviously, because it's $43 for a pack of Dasani water. And he added that it seemed rather out of place. Now, this is no surprise, of course, to anybody who has been through a natural disaster. And it's actually so prevalent that even Texas, libertarian conservative Texas, decided to pass a law against price gouging if the state is under a state of emergency, which happened on Thursday. In fact, Texas law prohibits selling essentials such as fuel, food, medicine, and other necessities at what they call an exorbitant or excessive price. It also applies to services like towing. And under the Texas Deceptive Trade Practices Act, price gouging can carry civil penalties of up to $20,000 per violation and up to $250,000 per violation for victims over 65 years old. So, yes, even super uber conservative, free market Texas says, hey man, we don't want people screwing over other people in an emergency. That's shitty, and especially screwing over older people. So we're going to slap these fines on people. If you screw over somebody over, 65, $250,000. Wow. Now, there are some conservatives out there, and I don't think they're in the majority here, who are actually not happy about these kinds of laws. Now, one of them is Tim Worstall, who's got the worst opinion of all. Now, he's a big libertarian conservative, free market guy, and he decided to write some of his terrible opinions in Forbes. Now, this article that he wrote recently, and there are some others that have come out from different authors, titled, Hurricane Harvey is when we need price gouging, not laws against it. Now, emphasis on the word need. We need price gouging. Price gouging is awesome. It's fantastic during emergencies. Now, unfortunately, I was not able to actually go in and read the crux of the article because Forbes yanked it. It's gone. Probably because Hurricane Harvey, the fallout is so bad, they thought, oh my God, this guy with this shitty opinion who's in favor of price gouging, take it down, take it down, take it down. But that's okay. In order to get how he really feels about it and his argument in favor of this, all I had to do was to go to his Twitter account, where he actually argues in favor of price gouging. So here's some tweets. So, when he tweeted out this article from his personal account, which is at Worstall, by the way, somebody disagreed with him. Somebody named Andy Chanel. Now, he says, hang on, you think in times of crisis you should make it harder for poor people to get the essentials of life? Worstall tweeted back, I'm saying that in a time of crisis, we want the most efficient method of increasing the amount of essentials available. No, okay, look, hey, that makes sense. Yes, we all want the essentials to be available to people, to anybody who needs it, right? So this person, confused, is a little confused at Worstall, and his comment about that says, wait a minute, price gouging only increases availability for those who can pay the premium. It prices those who need provisions most out of the market. Worstall replies, it also increases the supply, which is rather the point. And added, it's increased supply, which brings prices down. Okay, but wait a minute. That sort of doesn't make sense. So if you let companies price gouge during an emergency, that would make the price go down as you would have more supply. Well, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, look, I understand the whole issue of supply and demand. I get it. And, you know, there are places where you have demand that ends up going up. That increases your prices. When supply goes down, I get that. Okay, that makes sense. When conditions are normal, say like, oh, you've got the, you know, whatever new, Furby. Anybody remember fucking Furbies? Okay, those things. Yeah. Okay, so it's like Christmas time, and they raise the price of a Furby because everybody's buying them. Supply and demand. That sucks if you're trying to buy a Furby, but whatever, right? That's kind of how the market works, right? That's normal conditions. When you have a natural disaster, like what happened in Hurricane Harvey, and you do have some supply and demand issues, well, that's where you have to make a moral choice, okay? Because a lot of the things that the people end up buying and hoarding before the storm, or, you know, whether it be a storm or a blizzard, any sort of natural disaster, what they're hoarding is, they're not hoarding Furbies. They're hoarding things like water and gas in order to run generators and food, stuff like this, okay? Now, the thing about water is if you don't have it, you die. Now, if you inflate the price of water, well, it turns out you are going to price people out of the market. See, because only wealthier people can afford to pay that price. If you're poor, you are fucked. And most likely, if you are still there during a storm or during a natural disaster, and I see a lot of this, like, oh, well, if you don't want to be in the path of the storm, then get out of the storm. Well, a lot of these people are poor. Sometimes you don't have transportation, and even if you do, where are you going to go? You can't just go up in a hotel room. And look, most likely, all your possessions, that's all you have. And you cannot go out and afford to replace all those possessions. So, a lot of these people, they don't have a lot of options. Now, there's another argument that they use, people like Worstall, they talk about risk. Now, I understand that as well. Yes, it is risky to bring goods to those areas to increase the supply. And they say, well, since any business exists to make a profit, you've got to make it profitable enough to mitigate the risk of supplying areas, especially after a natural disaster. Totally understand that, right? If you got a company, I get it. You know, yes, profit is definitely consideration, right? But see, this is where it's not just a business issue, but in situations like these, it's also a moral issue. There are times where you have to forsake a little bit of profit in order to do the right thing. In today's world, unfortunately, that seems to be rather unheard of. But that's why you have laws like Texas, where you say you cannot screw people over during a time of emergency. Because these companies, they will not make that decision on their own. And look, it's because they're not designed to. These corporations, they're not evil, they're not good. They have no morals. Okay, they are amoral machines, and that's why we need rules. And people like Worstall, well, they want to eliminate these rules. And they want to allow corporations to price gouge in order to prioritize profit above all else. And that even means over human life. Okay. So, and look, they know that if there's little to no profit in doing something, the companies will not do it. And by the way, this is the kind of thing that people hate about capitalism. It's brought a lot of good things, but this is one of the bad things, okay? And that's why, again, even places like Texas have these rules, because some rules are just good. And you have to have something out there to protect the consumer. And look, also in these sort of issues, these times, you have to have a robust federal response in order to make sure that the goods end up getting to actual people who need it, right? And that's the other thing that tends to fail in the free market, when you leave it completely up to the free market. So, but look, all this goes to show you is that when you do have a system based completely on profit motive, well, you can't have that alone, because that system will always put profits over people. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.